All right. Well, hey, you've already read the email, right? Like, stop. Go read the email. Okay. So you've already read the email.
The link is.
Have you read the email?
I wrote it.
We're going to stop, and Marcia's going to read the email.
I will read the email.
Okay.
The link is somewhere.
No, actually, we just want to do a brief discussion. Brief, because both of us, very short. Do a brief discussion of just maybe answering some questions, a little bit more updates, let you get the feel behind things too. So we want to make sure things don't get lost in just an email and written communication. So first thing I want to do, even just in light of the coronavirus, shelter in place, all that stuff, just what's been going on with your family? What's the latest?
Oh, wow. Becky has been essential at work the entire time. So her work schedule really didn't change. And because it didn't want everything stolen out of the church and everyone else was sheltering in place, I've been coming into the office. So from that angle, like, we felt very normal. But right before we sheltered in place, we were empty nesters. And then Rhett's college baseball season got canceled and classes went online, and Hallie's classes went online. And so they both moved back in. And so we've been transitioning there. So that was a little bit of a change for us. That was good, but it was a change. Had to walk a kid through all the emotions of loss, of thinking his role was going this direction and then not, and then through that. But Rhett's in good footing with that, and there's some positive happening there. Hallie's doing well at school. She's a good student. We think Rhett's going to pass, so we're happy with that. We're going to lean into that. Just assume that he will be, in fact, eligible to play baseball in the fall. That's been really cool, though. Like, coming back together, I think, with more family time. A year or so ago, my in-laws kind of got serious about saying, would you want to buy our home? Would you be interested in moving back? That's always been kind of a discussion. That firmed up, and then in the process of that happening, we know a couple that came to us and said, would you want to sell your house? And so we have a contract on our home, so we'll be moving to Clayton, but that won't happen until October. It's 3 doors down from where we live before we move to Arcanum. And in the process, they're going to buy our old house, which is 3 doors down. So we've been negotiating house deals and, I don't know, everything. And the people that are buying our house are probably going to sell to a couple that attend Grace Church. So that's kind of happening. And we're trying to use the same attorney to write all of those. We're just playing musical houses. So outside of that, really, it's been pretty laid back and not a lot of change.
Well, so real estate agent, designer, pastor,
yeah, right. Yeah,
so like that is the next part. Is the some people probably don't know. Anybody who's come to Grace in the last 12 years has known Marshall Geip as an elder. Mm-hmm. Anybody who's come to Grace in the last decade has known Marshall Geip, administrative pastor, member of the staff. So they may not know some of your background. What did you do before coming here? What's your degree in? All that good stuff.
I went to Penn State University. I have to say that quietly here, but I am wearing blue, so take note. I graduated from Penn State in 1995 with a degree in landscape contracting, and thought I would do that my whole life. And moved out here because the market was better. Met Becky, we got married, and started into that industry and helped grow a company. I worked at a nursery for a year or two, and then helped grow a company called the Site Group in New Carlisle for, I think I was there almost 15 years, 12 to 15 years. It's time was a little blurry, but that was really good. But that's really what I thought I would do the rest of my life. Lord changed affections, kind of stepped into ministry 10 years ago, April 16th this year. So, but that, and when I did that, I wore a lot of hats. Was really formally trained in design, but got into HR, human resources, and did safety, all the hiring and all the firing and all the, just a lot of softer skills around people, which the Lord really used to help me go into ministry, and all those skills and administratively with really help standardize their work processes of how they built things repetitively so we could scale the company from 1 crew to 5 and make sure clients were getting the same product across the board, and quality control and those kind of things. And so then to come into ministry, a lot of that is the kind of work that I even did here to help us get kind of cleaned up to plant churches and standardize a little bit, but not sterilize the work. And so that's really hard to do. But yeah, that's really what I thought I would do forever. And then the Lord said, how about this? And then we prayed about it and did it. And it's really been good. Yeah.
Yeah, and we have and continue to benefit from all of the administrative side of the business is natural gifting and experience you got.
Yeah.
And the degree was actually in design.
Yeah, that's right.
And then about 2 years ago, some things started to happen kind of with the design stuff again.
Yeah, that was kind of, it's a little bit of a joke now between the salesman that I designed for and me, in that 2 years ago February, he called me and said, hey, you were doing 3D renderings and perspective drawings when you left here. Clients are asking for those. I can't do them because when I left, he started designing and selling his own work, and that developed. He had more need. He couldn't do them. He said, would you do one? And I said, I'll do one for free, and then you're going to laugh at it, and then I'm going to laugh at it because I've designed for 8 years, and then we'll just kind of move on. And he said he really liked it. I thought it looked terrible, but he liked it. And then that just kind of developed over the last 2 years. We've developed some workflows, and I've done some work for him, and that really kind of expanded and took more time. And then there were conversations between me and you of like, I'm not sure what the Lord's doing, but is it okay? Is it right for me to even go this route? We had some conversation, and the Lord really fanned that into flame, and we're doing really fun work together now. I don't have a non-compete with them, so I can work for anyone, and that's been a real blessing, and that's not real common. But the industry that they're in is trying to be a little more innovative, and so what I'm doing is becoming more common, but they were on the front edge of that. But yeah, it's really developed. It's been really exciting, like to do that creative side again, that I kind of had that itch scratched here for many of the years because it was developing processes, and that's a creative process. But then when they're built, suddenly to have that kind of come in on the back end of that and kind of scratch that itch was really fun. Yeah. It's been really fun.
Yeah. Probably something most of you aren't even aware of is that, that started as kind of a side gig thing.
Yeah.
It was growing enough in demands that last year Marshall came to us about the time of year that you're starting to think through, where is anybody going to get raises next year? What's packages going to look like? And part of what you proposed was you said, what if rather than increasing the salary, and that's the traditional way of thinking, it was, I could really use a little more space. Mm-hmm. Like if you can cut my hours back a little bit on what's expected, that would free up more time for design. Yeah. So we did that for about a year. I think that's a compliment, the fact that your job description per se kind of had a reduced requirement for the hours that you were here, and yet work was still completely getting done and things. And as we started kind of going into the conversation more this year, even with the virus happening and other stuff, we were already kind of discussing some of these things before all of that, but the virus and shelter in place and everything hasn't changed.
No, in fact, I fully anticipated when we went into shelter in place that there wouldn't be any design for 60 to 90 days. And then it turns out that when people shelter in place, they actually stay home and they look at their homes, and a lot of employers have made the move to remote work. And so the demand for high-end jobs to now higher paying jobs, those people are working from home and they're saying, I need a space to work in. Wouldn't it be great to have an outdoor room to do that in as well, and we could entertain? And so the design market for kind of what we do, the salesman and I together with the type of work they build, that has increased. Yeah, the demand on design in the last 3 months has been pretty crazy. Probably a little known fact, but lawn care in general is increasing by 20 to 40% because even in this season. And so some industries are just kind of exploding and others are minimizing. And I wasn't ready for that. So I'm thinking, okay, well, we'll have a lot more admin load during this season because of the payroll protection program loan and other things that we're looking at doing. And how do we live stream, because we've never done that. And then suddenly it was all of that. And, oh, by the way, here's 85 plans that we kind of like you to turn, and there's a shelf life on those. You got to turn those because you want to keep clients excited, because people want to see your ideas and see what you can do next. And yeah, that translated into, oh my, maybe we should go ahead and make a transition now. But yeah, it really kept going.
Yeah. And you've designed some things for like some furniture. You've designed like a
Yeah,
mock-up front. I can't get him to let me know what a hood scoop would look like on an 82 Granada wagon.
really
Still kind of
bad.
waiting on that one.
Really bad
But
is what you said. Yes.
yeah, that would never look bad. But you've been able to kind of dabble in some other things with those design gifts. It's kind of got you. There's a real life-giving aspect.
Yeah, it's been really, it's entrepreneurial,
Yeah.
which was a little bit strange because I don't really think of myself as an entrepreneur. I think of myself as a process guy, but it's been really fun to suddenly have the ability, because a lot of what I do is 3D computer modeling and then hand render on top of that. So you get this artsy hand-drawn look, but I can pretty much build anything in the software. Once you learn how to model things, you can build, like you say, be it furniture, or I want to stucco a building. What's it going to look like when I do this? Or here's an outdoor room with plants. Or if you can build it, you can build it in solid modeling software, and so it can be rendered. And then there's other software that I get to learn that does photorealistic stuff. And so we can kind of go into any industry, which has been, I wasn't ready for that. And it's been super fun. But that also means more demand. And so then it's like, what do we do and how does that pan out?
Yeah. So obviously a lot of people you're going to be, first thing you're thinking when you're seeing this is like, whoa, Marshall and Becky, are they okay? Are they doing well? Is that, you can hear excitement and this has been God opening doors. The second thing people are going to be thinking is Greenville Grace, what are we going to do?
Right.
Are we going to be okay if Marshall slides into kind of a part-time capacity? What would be your answer to that concern?
Yeah. I mean, I'm really encouraged here in that this season, especially, we saw so much care happening. Like life groups are genuinely caring for one another. People don't come in and say, hey, here's an issue and you pastors figure it out. Like people are caring, and like that's that groundwork. And that's something we prayed for early on, even in life groups ministry 10 years ago. Like, we don't want this to be a Bible study. We want this to be where people come for care, and that's happening. So I think that pulled some load. That's exciting. We've chosen platforms and actually stuck to them. Like that's been kind of cool. Like the core values over the door that were over the door are now on the wall here in Scrabble fashion, but those are the same. Our mission statement is the same. Like we've kind of settled into things and settled into platforms, Planning Center Online, Clearstream for texting, MailChimp for and we're using those consistently and inviting others into that. And so that framework hasn't really been changing. And so I think that frees up space. So I'm hopeful that those just continue to be used and can pull load off. I mean, I'm excited there that I think the effects of what I've done will last as long as we remain faithful to use those things. But when we start reinventing the wheel, it gets kind of messy, but churches are good at that. We are always doing it. But yeah, I think it goes back to that creative process of like the selecting and doing of all of that was super fun, and it is fun. But once it's built, it's like it's time then to do the whole Paul Timothy thing and say, let's invite other people in to use those frameworks and multiply ministry. Because if I just stay and keep doing those things, I think it could actually kind of hinder the growth. And so even in the last few months, just kind of stepping back from things and saying, hey, I'm inviting you to own more of this. People are loving that. And it's been cool. And a lot of different things, from finance team to Lori with administration and children's church. You're seeing much more of Krista Stump and Stephanie Szymanski and others who are just owning portions of it, because honestly, they have so much more wisdom than I do in the field they're in. That I'm not going to compete with Stephanie Szymanski, Michelle Kaiser, Brittany Failer, and Krista Stump's over 100 years of classroom experience. I mean, who am I kidding to think they can't step into that? But the framework's built, and that's exciting. Like, I think there is an aspect of me stepping back actually frees others, and they're saying that. That's what I'm hearing, which is really fun. And then like, oh no, what have I done in the same moment? So, but in a good way. I think we should be multiplying.
Yeah, I think that would be my encouragement to you, is if your thought process is panic, which is understandable, it's actually an affirmation of your giftedness and your ministry to us here at Grace, that we could make this transition. Like, to have been around for all of this, I know I'm more administrative now. I've learned tools and even just a way of thinking that I just didn't have before. In 10 years of working together, we have platforms established. We know what we're doing with intentionality. that if the mindset is think, oh my, no, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
Like, we can't survive without Marshall here full time. It's actually because you've done such a good job. You've set us up where it's going to hurt. We're going to feel some pain points and we'll have some transition. But at the same time, like, I know I'm not panicked because I know the people you've poured into, the systems you've helped create, the availability you're still going to have. And that it's part of what you've done in this decade is not just, hey, I'll cover that, but it's actually like, well, let's get this set up, the scalable word, like, let's set this up so that other people can do it. And so I do think that's one part is if you, and I'm sure you have, you've highly valued and benefited from Marshall's administrative gifts, know that those gifts have been at work to even allow this kind of transition to possibly take place.
And I'm not going anywhere.
Right.
Like, that's a huge aspect of it too. Like, there is no other shoe to drop. There's nothing behind the curtain. We actually and genuinely are good friends and enjoy each other. And I'm not looking for a reason to bail. We love Grace and we don't want to go anywhere. Yeah. And so this is genuinely a situation where we've developed things and grown, kind of, for lack of a better phrase, worked myself out of a full-time position and said, well, let's invite others into that work. And then along the way with that happening, the Lord kind of fans this other giftedness back into flame. I didn't believe I could do the work I'm doing now. I'm doing work now that I dreamed of doing when I was in college 25 years ago. And so that's been really fun to see. Sometimes the gears just kind of turn slow and the Lord does things slowly. And that's been really fun. And so we're not going anywhere. And so I'll be here to help and assist. It would serve me greatly if people understood that I was kind of at a different elevation of looking at the work too, so that, because my tendency is I'm going to want to feel important and own it all, and I'm going to burn out. So I got to be really careful and guard my own self. And if you all can help me with that too, of not just always handing, but asking, who can I ask? Instead of saying, hey, where do we keep X? It's, who can I ask? Like, who leads that now? Like, that's maybe a different way that things could be asked. Because I'll take it because I like to feel important, and then I'll just get embittered. And I don't want to do that because it's going to be a hard transition. We'll feel some pain. I think you said that. And we'll work through those. And that'll leave space for people to step in. And I'm excited about watching that because enough of it's already happened that it's been really cool.
Yeah, we're not coming to you thinking we've got this figured out.
No.
There's going to be pieces we're going to have to kind of do the dance and know. Full-time on staff elders, pastors, it's just kind of like, okay, they work a certain amount and then you're always on call, which is part of it. Our guys that are full-time other jobs and work and serve here as shepherds in our church are in the same boat, hospitals or whatever. They're just on call. They know they need to do that, but you understand when they're on the job or they're in the field, they've got to be doing that. That's their job. You're going to be in this awkward boat where there'll be some hours that you're here at the church. You're still an elder, so you still are kind of on that on-call basis. But if you're doing creative work, if your head's down and you're doing design, you can't just take a call about, hey, have you seen a key? Do you know where the dust mop is?
Yeah.
We're going to have to kind of do that dance to figure out what that looks like. But the clear things is like, he's still going to preach. You're still an elder. I would say even with that, like, you would affirm, like, your calling to shepherd the body of Christ has not changed.
No, this is simply vocation. In how I provide for my family. And then the Lord is just kind of shifting the revenue stream from support and ministry to this area over here. And because he's the giver of the best gifts, he's just doing it in a way that's just really life-giving. I think he takes care of his own, and it's really cool to see that. And that's been fun. I mean, now to help you all too, I mean, I'm not going to do this without a plan to some degree. So there is a plan, and the weekly rhythm is, the goal is for me to be in the office and really available on Monday and Tuesday and then Sunday mornings. So what I'm saying is, if you're seeing me on a Sunday, don't think he's part-time now. Like, we've considered that block of time kind of work so that please come to me, please, like, I want to serve you, but probably in a different elevation of I'm always 30,000, 15,000 weed level. I want to move from down here to kind of up here in the work. And so, but
you're doing less weed, is what you're saying.
I'm doing less weeding.
Okay.
Weeding. Yes,
clear.
yes.
Okay.
Be careful. Okay. But that's kind of how we're viewing it. But Monday and Tuesday are those Tuesdays. Doesn't mean that the people shouldn't call me on Tuesday, Wednesday. They call me all the time now. It just might mean that I might not pick up, or I might be in the middle of something and can it wait? If you know my personality, I don't like alerts on my phone, so it's probably not going to wait very long, but I'll do my best to even serve that too. Yeah,
Cool.
but I'm excited.
One thing, I haven't run this by him. This is in the video. I think that I've enjoyed seeing this stuff. He'll print it. He's put it on his Instagram page, and things like that. He says scribbling. If you would like to even just see what he does to get a feel for it, I've tried to tell him it's not boastful. It's not post a couple pictures, hang them up, let us see them. So email the church and tell the church, Marshall, put some up just for a brief period of time so people can see what he's doing. Because it's actually pretty cool. And it's exciting to see. It's been fun for me on the weekly basis to see the excitement, the energy, the affirmation of a giftedness that God has given you and how you're flourishing in it. Super exciting then to see those things partner together with, like you say, the idea of I still get to have a friend around. I still get to serve.
Yeah,
we still
fun.
Get to do all that together.
Yeah.
So what we want you to really hear is ask questions, not unless you've read the email. And then you can ask questions, but please, I know we're in a whole season of transitions and different things. And for some, depending on your personality, it feels like, wait, one more thing is changing. Some things that are changing are good and exciting, and they'll bring tensions and they'll bring fears and anxieties, but at the same time, it's some things to celebrate too, because we'll be able to see the Lord's faithfulness in his hand right in the middle of this.
Yeah, and ask questions, please do. We're an open book. We want to remain that way. But we love you all. So thanks for watching and reading the email.
Yes.